If you're a fan of Caitlin Clark, this is the video you've been waiting for. After a heartbreaking playoff elimination, Caitlin made an announcement that stunned the WNBA. What's next for her career, and why did she decide this? Let's find out. Caitlin Clark's first season in the WNBA was nothing short of amazing. From the minute she stepped on the court, people knew she was something special. Her incredible shooting range, court vision, and playmaking ability made her an instant fan favorite. For the Indiana Fever, Clark wasn't just a good player, she was a game changer. Clark finished her rookie season leading the WNBA in assists with over 8 per game, while also setting the rookie record for the most three-pointers made. Night after night, fans watched in awe as she effortlessly knocked down shots from way beyond the arc, made impossible passes, and carried her team through tough games. Even with these accomplishments, Clark's rookie year wasn't without challenges. The physicality of the WNBA was unlike anything she had faced before. Opponents constantly pressured her, and she quickly realized that the league wasn't going to go easy on her. From early on, it was clear she was going to have to work through some tough defenses, and it wouldn't be easy. But despite all that, she kept shining. The WNBA had hoped Clark would bring a new level of attention to the league, and she delivered on that expectation. Ticket sales soared, and every game she played seemed to draw more eyes to the screen. However, beneath all the success, a frustration was brewing. Caitlin Clark's skills were undeniable, but one thing that became clear very quickly was that opponents weren't holding back. Clark faced rough and physical defenses in nearly every game, and she started to feel like she wasn't being treated fairly. "I feel like I'm getting hammered out there," she said in a post-game interview after one particularly tough matchup. The WNBA is a physical league, and everyone expected Clark to face some hard-nosed defense, but it seemed like she was being hit harder than most. Game after game, defenders were bumping, pushing, and putting constant pressure on her. Some of these hits bordered on excessive, and to Clark's frustration, referees often let it slide. It wasn't just the tough defense that bothered her. What really got to Clark was that she felt like she wasn't being protected by the officials. Other star players, in her view, didn't seem to get the same level of physicality. The repeated hard fouls, combined with the lack of calls in her favor, left her feeling like she was being unfairly targeted. The constant physical toll started to wear on her. Her frustration built up as she continued to feel unsupported by the league's officiating. She was still performing at a high level, but mentally and physically, the repeated rough play was taking its toll. The Indiana Fever had managed to make it to the playoffs, thanks in large part to Clark's incredible performances throughout the season. However, the postseason brought even more intensity. In a high-stakes game against the Connecticut Sun, Clark left everything on the court, delivering one of her best performances of the year. She dropped 29 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, and dished out 10 assists, nearly willing her team to victory. But despite her heroic effort, the Fever came up short. The final score was 87-81, and it was a bitter loss for Clark. What made the defeat even harder to swallow was the lack of support from her teammates. While Clark was out there battling like a one-woman army, her team faltered. Missed shots, turnovers, and a general lack of energy led to their downfall. Clark's frustration was palpable. As the game went on, it became clear that no matter how hard she played, it wasn't going to be enough. Her teammates weren't rising to the occasion, and the game began slipping away. You could see it in her body language. Every missed shot, every turnover, it all felt like a punch to the gut. When the final buzzer sounded, it wasn't just the end of a playoff run. For Clark, it felt like a breaking point. She had given everything she had, and it still wasn't enough. The frustration, the physical toll, and the lack of team support had pushed her to her limit. After the playoff loss, no one could have predicted what Caitlin Clark would say next. In a post-game press conference, Clark shocked everyone by hinting that she might be stepping away from the WNBA. The young star, who had just completed one of the best rookie seasons in league history, was seriously considering leaving. "I need a reset," Clark said, her frustration clear. She didn't hold back in expressing her disappointment with the league, especially with the officiating. She felt like she was being constantly targeted by defenders and wasn't getting the protection she deserved. She mentioned how physically taxing the season had been and how it had started to affect her mentally as well. But what truly shocked fans and media alike was the hint that Clark might be done with the WNBA altogether. While she didn't explicitly say she was leaving, her tone suggested that she was seriously considering it. The idea that the league's brightest new star could walk away after just one season sent shockwaves throughout the basketball world. Fans were left wondering, is this really the end for Caitlin Clark in the WNBA? Or was this just a temporary frustration that would eventually pass? Either way, the announcement left a lot of questions and uncertainty. Caitlin Clark's arrival in the WNBA was one of the most anticipated debuts in years. She brought in new fans, increased viewership, and turned Indiana Fever games into must-see events. The Fever, a team that had long struggled to fill seats, suddenly saw a massive boost in ticket sales, all thanks to Clark's star power. Her games regularly drew huge crowds, and viewership numbers for televised games soared. Some of her games brought in over 1.5 million viewers, more than some NBA games during the regular season. Her merchandise sales, including jerseys, were record-breaking, quickly surpassing those of WNBA legends like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. Clark wasn't just a rookie, she was the WNBA's golden ticket. Her presence on the court meant money for the league, not just through ticket and merchandise sales, but through broadcast deals and increased sponsorships. The WNBA hadn't seen this kind of attention in years. But now, with the possibility of her leaving, the league is staring down a major challenge. Losing a player like Clark would be a massive blow, not just to the Fever, but to the entire WNBA. Clark had brought hope that the league could grow and reach new heights. And now that future seemed uncertain. The big question on everyone's mind now is, what's next for Caitlin Clark? While her announcement stunned the basketball world, she hasn't made any official decisions yet. Rumors have already begun swirling about what her next move could be. One possibility? Heading overseas to play in Europe. European basketball offers a different style of play, one that isn't as physically intense as the WNBA. For Clark, this could be a chance to continue developing her game without the constant physicality she faced in her rookie season. Many top American players have found success in Europe, enjoying more space on the court and a style that better suits their skill sets. But there's also the possibility that Clark could simply be taking a break. She's young, incredibly talented, and has a long career ahead of her. Whether it's in the WNBA or elsewhere, this might just be her way of stepping back, reassessing her future, and deciding what's best for her mentally and physically. Whatever she decides, one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark's story is far from over. Whether she returns to the WNBA, plays overseas, or takes time off, her impact on the game will continue. Fans and analysts alike will be watching closely to see what her next move will be. What do you think Caitlin Clark should do next? Is this really the end of her WNBA career, or will she return stronger than ever? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more updates on Caitlin Clark.